Monday morning, I take every other Monday off to work in the house, and it's windy out there. So on today's episode of What the Fuck's He Doing? About a year ago, in December, we started doing this. So this is for the tin ceiling to attach to, because none of the edges of the tin ceiling squares are 16 on center. They're all 2 feet. So I need something and maybe to glue into there. It took an hour. It took a lot longer than I thought to dig this side of the basement. So it's a drywall lift. And I have one full sheet to put here. Then I got to fill in the rest. And I don't think this is going to go all the way over. So I'm going to have a little sliver over there. So I'm not going to try and do that today. You can see I used screws before. Well, I went to the Harbor Freight about 9 months ago and bought me this. It's a stapler, so they're like this shape. So the stapler is important so it doesn't go through the Luan, which is fairly thin. And I can do that. So you want to use the staples because it's staple. My existing stapler won't handle ones that are this long, so I needed something a little bit longer to, get really into there. For the holding power. So I guess the next step, I gotta mark where the joists are so that I can, hit the joist occasionally. Actually, damn it, I've forgotten which way these things go. Yeah, they go this way, not this way. Because the other ones go that way, which is confusing. Funny story, the deck out here, this upper deck, it was not supposed to have posts. So it was supposed to be cantilevered out. Well, to cantilever, that means that your joists continue in. So basically, come on, like here, the joists, you just continue them on. And so by cantilevering, meaning it's resting on this outer wall. But yeah, I don't know how the architect missed this, but she did. These joists over here, they don't go that way. They go this way. It's like a cantilever deck that way. So that's why I ended up completely changing the design from the original design, which was just cantilevered out. I kind of like having posts anyhow, but yeah, that's great. So, yep, we got to mark those with some tape and pencil because I can't, read through this and I can't see the lines as much. And then I did a perimeter. This is going to work a lot better. This being the stapler versus the screws. Okay, well, time to jam her in there. Like I said, I think it's not going to be quite in there, but this thing weighs a lot. And it was buried back there. That took most of the time. It was just getting to things and moving things around. But that's what everything is. 30 minutes, an hour setup and mode to be able to flip it down and load it, but also because then I can just push the glue on there without putting it. Got that up there. We got the scaffold out of there. I decided this would be the time to put that strip up there and just kind of continue along here. Since I got the scaffold, well, that thing out. That was a good buy. That's handy, but that's even more handier for this kind of stuff because you can walk on it and hold things up. So yeah. Get this in there. So what do we got? We got another one across here, and then that strip, and then this corner is going to be a little confusing. because of the way that is, doing separate pieces will make handiwork. And then I got my track saw up there and my dog. We call her Sawdust. So hopefully I got enough glue on. That was the last full sheet I had. But we had I don't know why. This ceiling, we had that up before I was forced to put the drywall up, which is a whole nother story. Get this back together. I moved this cord from over there, was going at a diagonal to straight down and over to here by putting that extra 2 into 6, but unfortunately it sticks out a lot, so the couch is, I'm not exactly happy with it. I'll probably buy something else. I thought I had, we didn't look in the right area, ones that the plugs plugged into the side, but obviously I can fix that at a later date. Okay, so we got that little piece in there, that piece in there, we got that in there. We're now headed that way. I've got that piece cut to there. There she is. It started raining, which is ironic because I was going to load up the truck because there's no forecast for rain in the next couple days, and get that ready for Habitat. I can't take, Habitat's closed on Mondays, but open on Saturdays, so I can't take the stuff there. Do have to make a run to the Walmart because Spike's out of needles. Today's his last one. I meant to do it last week, but with the things, the Halloween on Friday night, and then the Halloween at Joe's school on Thursday night, and I forget what I was doing Wednesday night. I was getting blood, so just didn't make it. I just did, but this piece does not fit there. As you can see, it's a little lacking. I think I cut the wrong piece. I mean, I cut the piece, but I took the wrong side or something. I don't know. Could have said it was 7 1/4. I even took notes. We'll go make another piece. I scraped off as much glue as I could, and the new piece. I see what I did on the post. I saw 71 and put 7 in my head and measured across 7. I was concerned because it's a little bit wider down there, and I wanted to make it just a 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch wider. But we'll go ahead and slap this bad boy up. Let's avoid all that. Final result. Got that all in. That gap doesn't bother me. Might bother you, doesn't bother me. The wall wasn't straight. This came out pretty good, I think. Got a pretty trim there. I cut a little bit off on this edge. Then we're pretty flush on this side. There's gonna be some aluminum trim here. Some of these sinkers are gonna have to get driven in some more, but I'll deal with that later. Next step is to figure out how to paint clear polyurethane on the tiles and then start putting them up. I'll start in the center and work my way out. It's gonna be lots of fun. Thursday morning. It's been raining pretty much all week. This is the only day it's not supposed to rain. And 40 degrees. Truck started up with a little bit of glow plug heat up, which is normal when it's 40 degrees. But today we're going to go Habitat for Humanity and dropping off a few things. So a lot of this stuff I got out of the trash, but I got that stuff, and then there's stuff in the back. I got a reef that I'm never going to use. It's too big, and she wants a lit one. I got a gas can I bought that I'm never going to use, metal one, doesn't have a hose. There's a kerosene Aladdin, really cool heater, again, never going to use. The wig needs to be replaced. A whole bunch of folding chairs that seemed like a good idea when I bought them for graduation parties, but we don't graduate anymore, so don't need that. We'll still have one. Joe's against post high school grad parties. I don't know why. So yeah, just trying to clean up. Most of this is from the garage, a little bit for the yard, and making space because I gotta working on a new purchase, something rather big, so we need to make some space for the garage. I forgot to mention Sophia's moving to a new apartment. She's doing the weekend. I'm going to be in Chicago due to move in, move out issues, but she's having, my wife's relatives are coming, and it's going to be like the Special Olympics of moving. So you got my wife who can barely walk upstairs, her sister and her other sister who aren't very strong. My brother-in-law just had surgery, so he can't lift anything. Eileen's strong, but she doesn't know how to move things like couches and take things apart. And my mother-in-law, who also can't walk upstairs, is 78. So yeah, Special Olympics moving team. I don't know. Is that a thing? There it is. I'm back. I gave Spike a bath. He hasn't had one in a while. And these two little fuckers, they just want to participate, don't you? You want a brushing? Want me to make you look pretty too? Look how pretty Spike looks. He's nice and clean. You need a butthole wash. She had a little accident earlier this week, a little explosiveness. Is that good? She might need a little haircut. Okay, can I finish Spike? Let me get you too. You look pretty. Pretty. This morning's about weird things. I blew leaves, cut leaves, cleaned off that. I'm now working on the bike. So this bike's a 90. She's a classic, and I'd use her. I leave her outside. That's why she's faded. You can kind of see the line there. She's a little bit rusted. Anyhow, shifters are not working right. I took this apart, put it back together, and it still didn't work a couple years ago. And while I love this little window here, I don't know what it does. It's like a cam action. I couldn't get any parts for these. And replacement ones, new ones, like new old stock were $300. So we bought some compatible ones. I'm not hesitating because I don't think they're gonna work. They're just not gonna be as nice, but you know, it is what it is. Also took out the rear wheel because I think the last time I tightened up the bearings, I left them a little loose. You hear that? So that's not good. I want to check the bottom bracket. That one seems fine. So anyhow, so we got to replace, because these are brake integrated, the shifters, the whole thing is one big piece. So I'm going to go ahead and swap on those and tighten that axle up and maybe clean it a little, maybe grease her a little bit. And then I'll take around the block, and if that works, we'll go ahead and hang her back up. All solid cast aluminum versus a little bit of metal, lots of plastic. I can get this gauge up here, so I can't just look down there now. I can look up here. So, well, these will work. I got these. I had to put some silicone underneath there, so they're soaking right now to get the silicone. The silicone lets it slide off, but of course, I want it to slide on and not come off. Soap, I think, is what you use, laundry detergent soap. So, gotta figure out how to get that cable out. And I think we'll, yeah, it is what it is. Okay, well, that was actually successful. I tightened up the hub, got the brakes and derailleurs back on. This actually works, and gears stay where they should be, and they change when I want them to. So probably ought to replace the tires on this because they're cracked. But it's not like I'm going like 3 miles. I go to the post office and back, and maybe a little bit of off-roading occasionally. Maybe over there chasing the dog. I don't know. It is getting cold out here. I took my hoodie off because it was getting hot. The sun was out earlier, but it's cold now. That's my winterization package there. Dog used to be playing in here, and she disconnected some wires, but then I didn't realize that she went to town here, and she disconnected all the wires. Whoops, they're just like, here's all the wires, and she stripped them too. So I mean, that's great. So yeah, that's what you want. This is all the wires just there. So no wires are going up here, and there used to be wires going up there for the switch and whatnot. So we're going to be, rewiring this. Well, we're having problems with the stove inside. Specifically, the touch panel doesn't work, and I've worked out some workarounds. Like if I want to broil, I hit chicken nuggets. If I want to bake, I hit pizza. There's quick select buttons in the middle. I'm going to tear into it, but I thought this would be a good time to have a backup stove. This is what it's supposed to be here, is a stove, so let's do that. So you may recall, this is a propane stove, and I'm not using propane. I could, but I'm not. I'm using natural gas. So I converted those nozzles. Part of that kit, so I replaced all these. And a little bit confused because this kit has two, well, this is the pilot light, which it has to have, and it has one of those electronic parts that senses there's a flame and it turns the gas off if it doesn't. Maybe we can bypass that. Anyhow, I'm a little bit confused because I got one nozzle. So, but yet I got 2 burners. So I took out the front cover, took off the igniter. I unscrewed the gas feed into here, and this is the part that feeds the tubes. So this is a 2 burner. Sorry. So I would expect to replace this and this. So I'm a little confused. I may end up just drilling out the right size and putting it back in there. Because again, there should be 2 of those and there's only 1. I might need to look at the kit, but I'm pretty certain that's where it is. So the igniter is way back there. Looks like I gotta get those screws off. That should be fun. No, that won't be fun. And it goes back to this valve here. So I think like a natural gas furnace or water heater, if it doesn't sense a flame, it turns off. And it does that through this coupler here, I believe, that senses the flame. So we got to get that thing out. Now this is all zip tied to there. So it looks like once I remove those 2 screws, it should just bend out, fix it, and bend it back. And then I might need to, this one I can take off easy. The other one doesn't. I don't know where that goes down there. Either way, I got to take either that screw off of those. So that one might be easier than those 2. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for that one. So anyhow, that's what I'm doing. It was raining all night long for like midnight on. Again, looking at the new part and the old part. The old part looks better. So the old part has a flame spreader that's going to go and hit both burner tubes. And also, this piece is riveted on. That's the igniter. I need that. And this is the thermocoupler. I guess I could push that in there. These holes look different. That's a big for in size. So then looking at this, I don't even know where the orifice is. It's built into this. So maybe we just drill this one out too. I don't know. Unfortunately, I gotta temporarily put it back in there and hook the gas up to see how big the flame is. But I think that's what I'm gonna do, is drill this out, because everything else is different. And this is all this is about. Natural gas just needs more gas, and LP has more BTU power per unit of volume. So, fuck. Well, I had to take it out either way. Well, we wanted to get a view of what this would look like burning with the existing main orifices. So the main tubes back there, the ones on the left and the right, are the regular LP. But the pilot light seems to be working pretty well. Hands. So I'm going to turn the oven off here. Turn the oven off. See that little sensor getting hot. Turn the oven off. Oh, I set it up to 425. And that's off. Okay, so then the tubes should go off, and they are. That flame looks pretty darn good. Turn it back on. I don't have a good reference of how long it's supposed to take to ignite. Those flames seem to be hitting the tubes. Any day now. And again, this will light quicker once I get the right orifices on the main tubes, which are just kind of loosely held in right now. There we go. I think that lit. Maybe not. Okay, well, I'm going to leave the pilot light alone. I think we're good there. I'm just going to change this one orifice and go from there. Yeah. And then drill out the other. I think I'm going to put one in and then see how that works. Definitely got it on high. The other thing I want to do is calibrate it. So my dial says 400 and it stops at 400. Okay.
Well, I singed my hair and took all my eyebrow out, my eyelashes. Oh, I got a little bit left, a little bit up here.
Pilot light going. Turn the stove on. Didn't see it light. took my lighter, lit the front, thought it was lit, looking at it, and apparently it wasn't. Enough gas built up in there that and the big flame, like a foot-long flame, came out and singed me. So that's great. I smell a lot of burnt nasal hair. Not a good feeling. So this is the pilot light. I'm gonna very carefully enhance. Make that hole just a little bit bigger. I've got some welding cleanouts. They're like little tiny round files for cleaning out like a torch. I'm gonna try that. I do have these nozzles on there. I think they're flowing right. The only other thing could be that there's so much gas is coming through it didn't light, but I don't think that's the case. So yeah, we're gonna go do that. Make that a little bit bigger, just a little more flamage. Dip. So I was thinking I was gonna drill that out, then I realized I better take the natural gas one and measure the hole, like find a drill bit that fits that. So I took this off so I could take a closer look at the hole, and I started blowing on it, and something fell to the ground, and I went down and I picked this up. So it looks like these little caps, I've taken this one out, go inside there, and they're the orifice. So these are interchangeable. So this is a 1/8, and that's interesting. They're both the same freaking size. Which tells me when they converted this to propane, they probably didn't change the pilot light. I didn't expect that. Huh. Well, we definitely don't want this flame spreader on there because we need a dual. Did not expect that. I didn't have this bolted in all the way. Farkin-Nugan. Those are my bigger orifices. Yeah. Why didn't that light? I don't to be working now. So if I turn it off, keep the pilot light going. Set it to 400. That lights up properly. I did open up the air vent a little bit over here with those little screws. I want me to tighten those. No, I did. And I can't get to those from here. I wasn't sure if I could get to those with this all put back together. Everything's all nice and tight, except for that. Okay. So we set it to 250. We're at 225, so we're gonna set it to 200. I think it just turned off, so I think she's working. She may not be exact. We'll test her later this week, but that works. Another thing I found is this drip tray comes right out, so that's kind of handy. Right now it's kind of tipped up, so I put a 2x4 underneath there so I can work on it. So we'll go ahead and lower that. Oh, this looks a little rusty. Gotta get this done. This. To that end, I purposely left the brackets out to see how they would do in the rain, and they do rust, of course, but not badly. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean those up and powder coat them. Then I think I'm gonna drill the holes too, get that all done. And I want all the holes to be even, so I'm gonna use the drill press upstairs. That way, just for whatever reason, if I end up moving brackets around. Because one of the brackets I'm gonna have to leave off to do a test fit on the posts after I cut the post to accept the bracket. So I want them all identical. So drill the holes and powder coat them. To powder coat them, I gotta get the powder coater out, which means I gotta do some cleanup upstairs. You know, you got a flat surface, it attracts stuff. Then we can go ahead and this week mount those. I didn't put those underneath the tarp because they keep getting rained on, and I think it's supposed to snow later this week. So once I got the brackets on, I can start doing the wood. So I'm hoping around Thanksgiving when there's some people here to put some posts up and stuff. And ironically, once I get a post up, I think I might have a big old tarp from when that was covered with the tarp. And I could at least put the tarp over it for now and get a little bit under the water. I went ahead and took this cover off, and you can see it got a little rusty. So I put the wood up there. The wood's there to keep this to shed water. What was happening is the water's just pulling and then dripping down. I'm learning these covers don't do anything, which is why I can feel the heat coming right out of there. as you should. Which is why, even though I put a cover on this, I put this on top, and that keeps the water from getting in. Unfortunately, last night I used this to make bacon yesterday, and I completely forgot that it rained. I was focusing on the snow forecast, not the rain, so that was the other reason to get into this. As you can see, it's still dripping water, so getting it hot kind of helps burn that shit off. So that's the plan. Brackets and posts. One of the brackets, well, all the brackets. So gonna go ahead and use the wire wheel, clean the scale off, the rust. I think once I powder coat them, this will be pretty good. Yeah, these are the prototype holes, so I'll have to make sure I duplicate those. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to duplicate those. Well, but the Pro press upstairs will be handy. Oh, that goes up there. Yeah, cleaner. I did a Google search on the best way to prevent rust for powder coating, and two things popped up. One is to remove all the paint, and I still got paint on here, the original mill scale paint, the paint they put on there so it doesn't rust. And that's hard to get off. The other thing is that they recommended a rough finish, not a sanded smooth finish like I just created. So they recommend sandblasting. So that's part of the reason why I haven't done this, is I haven't quite figured out what the best way to treat this was. I had a hard enough time finding a Google source for these. So I do have a sandblaster. I can't do it today in today's humidity. It clogs very badly, but I think that's the thing to do. Maybe this is time to get a sandblasting cabinet that I've been wanting to do for years. They're usually available on the Craigslist fairly cheap. We're up here trying to make some room, so cleared off some space. These I got from an estate sale. They're big fossils, and I'm gluing them back on the bases. I need to do a little work on that, but I used polyurethane glue. I did sand the thing down there on the bottoms on that, and I got another one over here, so trying not to jostle those. I bought this a year ago, and I wanted to make it into a tool chest, but it didn't have a top, so I've cut these 45s, and then tomorrow I'm going to go ahead and miter a groove to slide this in and glue it all up, and then I'm either going to donate it, or I think my father needs a toolbox. I'll ask him if he wants that. It's been sitting up here for a while. This I got to move someplace else because I keep stepping over it. Then I got to put some things in the attic. But I bought this last spring, which I was going to use for the ceiling tile, but it didn't work. So it just, air comes out. And I think it's this seal right here. So we're taking this apart. I got a kit for all this, but there's no instructions. Basically, the air is what pushes this down and go tunk. But we'll see. There's an air leak, but ironically, it's not there. It must be somewhere where it builds up the air, because this should I don't know. I gotta take it apart. Anyhow, I have all the seals, but I have no instructions on how to do the kit. But it is the factory kit. I ordered the factory kit part number, but I got an aftermarket replacement kit. But there's all the seals for this. So I guess we just find and replace. I picked up a couple weeks ago. The joints were loose, and even one of the screws on that corner piece was missing. So I tightened all those up. Specifically, this was loose, so it was rattling, and it's got a little screw in there, or is the other side rather. And I put a little bit of polyurethane. These are worn down to the bare wood, so I polyurethane that. While I was there, we bought this about a year ago. No, not less than that. I think it's a smoking case that somebody tried to convert to a thread holder, and I think somebody made this bottom piece like this was separate or something. I don't know. It's kind of unique. I'm trying to wash that stain off, but that didn't really work. Anyhow, it was loose at the bottom, so I pulled these out and glued them, and I got that going on there. This I've been meaning to do. These are the fossils I bought, so oh, that's great. That's what happens when you put poly on top of oil-based, water-based on top of oil-based. Get that out of there, maybe a little bit out of there. Wipe that out there. These needed to be re-glued together, and then I put some clear poly on them so they sparkle. So there's no point in having these sit around. They were detached at the base, so they're kind of useless. So that's about it. So trying to get these little shitty, little tiny projects out of the way. The blender, the blender's dead. It's a Vitamix. there's power going to the motor. I tore it apart, looked at it. Everything looks fine, but there's power going to the motor, but the motor's not spinning, so the motor's bad. It's like $280 for a refurb, brand new unit with a 5-year warranty. Yeah, it's $100 for the motor, and $100 is a lot to gamble, so I think I'm just gonna replace it with the used one, and I might be able to get a credit for this and send it back. So I got to call Vitamix. So they got refurb units and they got trade-ins. See what I can work out. So anyhow, it's winter season now. It's snowing outside, so that's great. Got the heat on full. This is 100% efficient because the vent and everything comes right out, and I breathe it all. Probably not a good thing to breathe it with the polyurethane. Patiently waiting for her dinner. I feed her up there because Spike will eat her food if she doesn't eat it all at once, but she doesn't get it. This one, who loves the can, she's gonna play with that for the next half hour. She'll take it upstairs if necessary, take it to bed, kick it in the middle of the night. Thank God she's got two